Alright, so welcome back everybody. So for this video, I want to share with you my 10 favorite birds to play in Wingspan. Now, one of the reasons why I'm doing this now is because pretty soon I'm going to get some promos for Wingspan. From what I understand, it's 25 birds per promo pack, and I've got 2 coming. So 50 new birds, right? And so I wanted to do this video before I got those promos, before my mind was changed on what I think is my 10 favorite birds to play with. Now, I haven't played with every single bird in this game, and I probably don't remember every single bird I've played in this game, but these are the 10 that are the most memorable for me as far as remembering them. Also, in the last 2 months, I've probably played Wingspan almost 10 times in preparation for the new promos, and so I've definitely found a few birds that I really like playing with that I didn't know I liked until, well, in the last couple of months. Plus, I've never done a video for my top 10 favorite Wingspan birds before, so this should be interesting indeed, which 10 I pick. Now, these are 10 bird abilities. I may not necessarily like the birds a huge amount in real life, but that doesn't matter because these are just birds I really enjoy playing. That said, if there's an ability that several birds have, I might have picked my favorite of the mix. So let me get started by showing you my 10 favorite birds. Now, I am sort of doing this in order for sure. But the last few I like about the same. So these first few I like about the same, but they're not as amazing as the top 5 for sure, in my eyes. So first we have the Abbott's Booby here. Now, this one is one of those that lets you draw bonus cards, and it lets you draw 3 bonus cards, which is awesome. It's not expensive to play either. But then you discard 2, and then you may discard 2 bonus cards you did not draw this turn. I really like this because sometimes the bonus card that you have to pick between the 2 that you start with, sometimes even the one that you pick isn't very useful, or isn't very useful towards, you're not finding birds that work with it. And so oftentimes you have a bonus card that's giving you 0 points because it's just the luck of the draw, right? And so this is letting you draw 3 more, and then you get to keep 2. But maybe perhaps some of the ones you drew are actually better than the one you started with. And this is letting you discard bonus cards you didn't even draw this turn. So it's letting you discard any bonus cards you already have, as long as you discard 2 bonus cards, which I think is amazing. This is why I picked it out of all of the ones that give you bonus cards, at least for the when played effects, because I think this is truly an amazing one to use. Okay, so then here's the Grandola. Now, I really like this one, and I've recently been playing it quite a bit when I've seen it. So what it says is when activated, if you laid an egg on this bird this turn, you tuck 1 card from the deck behind this bird. It's a free point. Every time it's a free point, because let's face it, you're going to take the lay eggs action because it's always going to be in the meadow, this bird. And while it can only have 2 eggs on it, you're always going to take the action, and you're always going to put the egg on here. I don't know why you wouldn't, because it's basically a free point every single time. This is almost a guaranteed, almost every single time you're going to get a victory point, unless this is like full on eggs, or you have to put an egg on another bird for, I don't know, end goals or something. But still, regardless, I would just do this for the guaranteed victory point. That's why I love this card so much. It's just a guaranteed victory point for tucking cards. I really like this one. This will definitely always be the first bird I take an egg off of in order to play a bird, because I'm going to want to activate this as much as I possibly can when I'm going to need to get more eggs especially. So the Grandola is definitely a really good one in my eyes. Okay, so then we have the Kakapo. This species of parrot can't fly, and it is highly endangered. But anyways, enough about that. This ability is just so amazing. It's in game and ability. It lets you draw 4 bonus cards. You get to keep 1. You discard the other 3. The reason why I like this so much is even when you're playing the game and you're drawing bonus cards in the midst of the game, sometimes you get some bonus cards you think are going to be easy to fulfill and give you lots of victory points. But then that does mean that you have to go out of your way to make sure you get those bonus cards to work for you. And sometimes that's not always going to be amazing or always going to work out. And while you might draw 4 bonus cards that are completely awful at the end of the game, drawing 4 is a pretty good chance that at least one of those 4 is going to give you some points. And if you're lucky, maybe it will give you like the full amount of points that you would receive because it just happens to work with your aviary. That's why I like this one so much. This is the only game end card that made the roster, but I think it's amazing for getting a bonus card at the end of the game. I think that's amazing. So that's why it's in my top 10. Okay, so then we have the green heron. This is the only one that actually works with food that made my top 10. Well, at least that puts food into my supply. Or not really, right? Because you're just trading one food for any other food from the supply. The reason why I like this is because sometimes maybe I was planning on getting a certain food and I couldn't get it. Well, then I could, take the cards action, get myself some cards, and then change the food for another food I do need from the supply. That's why I like this one so much. I also like the bird too, but man, the green heron, I like that bird itself, but the ability is very useful. Now, like I said, this is like the only one that's food related that made the list. I mean, there might be one that's caching food, but this is the only one that's getting me food from the supply in exchange for another food that made the list. There's not, I don't know why, but I just don't like the gaining food as much. I find that in this game, if you're playing with multiple players, your opponents, they'll play cards that give them food and you food. And half the time I end the game with like 12 food I didn't end up using because of all the free food I got. So that's why for me, strategy-wise, I don't see the need to play a bunch of cards that are going to give me extra food. I'd rather just, go to the forest and get a few food here and there when I need them. But yes, that's why this one made the list and why most of the other ones that are food-related did not. Okay, so here we have the double-crested cormorant. Now, this is contingent on actually having a fish in your supply, and I purposely might go out of my way just to make sure I always have a fish in my supply when I'm wanting to draw more cards. Because, if I discard a fish, I get to tuck 2 cards from the deck behind this bird. Sensing a theme here. Well, there's definitely a theme here. I really love tucking cards. It's my favorite strategy in Wingspan. But yes, I think this is a beautiful bird. I also, like I said, I like this ability of discarding a fish to tuck 2 cards. You're getting 2 points if you do that. I usually do it at least a few times each game. It definitely makes it worthwhile playing, especially for that reason. But yeah, that's why it's in my top 10. Okay, so tuck a card from your hand behind this bird. If you do, you have to draw a card. Now, there's lots of birds with this ability. I don't know, there's like, 50 or at least 50 variations of this ability. I mean, 50, species with a variation of this ability, perhaps, right? Or have the exact same ability. I just like this ability a lot. Getting to tuck a card from your hand and drawing a card. It's just useful. You get a point and you get a new card. Maybe you don't like the card. Maybe you only kind of like the card. But most likely, unless I am planning on for sure playing the bird, I plan to always have a bird card in reserve to tuck it, to draw another one, but to get a point every single time. I just like that strategy. And I guess this is probably my favorite bird, at least species-wise, that has this exact ability. That's why I picked the violet-green swallow. Okay, the little penguin. Now, this one is just plain fun. Super fun. It's got the hunting, fishing icon on it. It's one of those types of birds. It's worth a lot of points on its own. It's expensive, yes, but it's worth a lot of points on its own. Now, this one's just so fun to play because you get to draw and discard 5 cards from the deck. And then for each fish in the food costs, you get to cash 1 fish from the supply in this bird. Now, 5 cards, you're thinking, ooh, I could get 5 fish on 1 turn, and I suppose it's possible, but most likely you'll get 1 or 2. I mean, and sometimes you won't get any for sure, because fish isn't a super common food. It's not like seeds and insects. It's not super common and on multiple birds. but it definitely is a fun one to play, and it almost guarantees that if I don't get a point for playing it this time, then maybe next time I'll get 2 points instead. You know, maybe. So it's definitely worth trying. And then, of course, if you manage to score four or 5 points with this bird on one shot, oh my gosh, that is absolutely amazing. And that's why the little penguin makes it into the top 10 of my favorite birds. Just, it's so much fun to play. Okay, so this bird here is my favorite round end ability, the ruff. Now, the bird is not necessarily an eye catcher per se, but the ability I just absolutely adore. At the end of each round, tuck up to 3 cards from your hand behind this bird, and then you get to draw 1 card for each card you tucked. Now, maybe you aren't always going to have 3 birds to tuck that you want to tuck. But hey, if it's worth it, even if it's just 1, you know, it's just an extra point. Now, generally, I will make sure I have at least 2 birds I want to tuck every round. And if I can, I'm going to try to play this at least by the second round, so I get to do this 3 times. But yes, it's my favorite round end ability. I really, really love playing this bird. So that's why it's in my top 3. These 3 here are my favorites generally to play. The little penguin is awesome too, but this one is amazing. So yes, that's why it's my number 3. Okay, the rook. Who likes chess? Well, I certainly do sometimes. So the rook is just a fun one to play. So it's cheap to play. It's not worth many points, yes. But you get to cash 1 food from your supply on this bird, okay? But you don't have to, because you can instead choose to tuck 1 card from your hand behind this bird. So you can do either or, and sometimes maybe I don't have a food I want to cash because, you know, I'm not really playing the strategy that lets me get lots of free food. I mean, sometimes I do for sure. I'm not always going to have, you know, the coolest cards, the coolest birds that I want. I'm always going to have some variety, and I'm always going to have some birds that let me get food and stuff, and that's just a gimme. But I might not be going that route where I get tons of extra food, so cashing 1 food may not be something I'm always going to want to do. But tucking 1 card is something I'm almost always going to want to do, at least how I play. And then if you do it, either or, it does not matter. If you do it, either or, you get to tuck 1 card from the deck behind this bird. So you do this ability, and you get 2 points either way if you do this ability. That's amazing. I love that. 2 points, nice. And it gives you a choice between the 2. Oh, man, that's why the rook is my second favorite card to play in Wingspan. And so then my favorite card, which I cannot pronounce, the Budger Riger, something like that. Anyways, so this bird doesn't give you any points, and it's cheap, yes. But I just love it because every time it just guarantees you get to tuck a card. Tuck the smallest bird in the tray behind this bird. Okay, well, there's always going to generally be a bird in the tray. And it doesn't matter if the smallest bird is one of the largest birds in existence. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens to be the smallest bird gets tucked behind this bird, which is amazing. I love that. It guarantees every time you activate this, you are gonna get a point. That's why it's 0 points to begin with. So yes, this is amazing. I love this bird. If you get this in the beginning of the game, this is like one of the best first birds you could play if you manage to get your hands on this. That's why this is my favorite, because it guarantees 1 victory point every single time, and it's easy to play. And you know, if you want something you just need to play in the forest, so that way you can get more food, or get more bird cards sooner, or more eggs sooner. It's just one of those easy birds to start off with, to play first, so that way you can sort of build up your engine, but at the same time get victory points as well every time. That's amazing. I love this bird so much. That's why it's my favorite bird in Wingspan. And so now you've seen all 10 of my favorite birds in Wingspan. So while this is my favorite bird, I do like these 4 very equally. I think these are my 4 favorites for sure, because I think I love them all about the same equally. And then, you know, I like the rest of these about the same as well. I mean, just a little bit lower than the 4. So these top 4 are my favorites. for sure. And then there is a slight contest. These are definitely slightly better than these 6 here, especially since some of these have other birds with the exact same ability, right? I mean, for sure. But yes, that's why I love these birds. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Hopefully tomorrow my promos will be here for Wingspan, and I will unbox them so you can see what birds come in those packs if you haven't gotten the promos yourself as of yet. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys again next time.